Hey everybody, this is Gaynor Meilke and this is Tea with Miss G, and I have one of my favorite new cups here of tea, and today we're going to talk about something that crosses trauma, empowerment, and action in our little teacup here, and it's something that's in the news or pop psychology quite a bit, and that's narcissism. But there are varying levels of narcissism, and really it's a spectrum of behaviors, but it can be very, very damaging. So there's 4 stages of narcissism in a cycle, and it's the idealization stage, which is kind of the love bombing you might hear about, where you're like the best and very great, and then it goes down to a mid stage where there's criticism and nitpicking and kind of tearing down your self-esteem, and then there's the discard stage where it's like, okay, we're done with you and we'll not need you anymore, and then we'll come back and do the hoovering, which is an attempt to kind of like bring you back in. And I know I've been through this in several relationships, and so that's where I started to really think about this myself. And from my earliest relationship with a parent to my husband to then another relationship, and it's something that is inherent in that person. It's not something that you can really change, and so it's you either need to accept, change yourself, or leave it. And that kind of goes right into something else to think about, which is control. And so when it comes to either if you're in a narcissistic spectrum relationship or anything else, you can control certain things, and you have to accept that you can't control other things. And so I think this framework from Mike Foster was really good, which is things you don't have any control over: the past, the future, or others; partial control, results that you get. So you can put in a lot of effort, but there may be external factors that prevent you from having full control. Your health, same thing. You can have genetic tendencies that even despite your best efforts, you may not be able to completely control the outcome. And then your income, you can have unexpected bills, you can lose a job, you can lose a client. There's lots of different ways that we don't really have control over money or income. Full control is our attention. Where do we put our focus and energy? Our attitude, whether we're really taking like our full spectrum energy and effort to a task or a person. And then our attitude leads to action. So if we think something's worthwhile and we're enthusiastic about it, we're more likely to act on it than something that we're not. And action can also give you control over a situation too. So one of the best antidotes to feeling bad or feeling disempowered is to take an action in a beneficial direction for you. So let's kind of frame this all up, starting with the narcissistic cycle and relationships. If you find yourself really feeling unworthy when you're with somebody else, or being verbally, physically, of course, or any other type of psychological abuse, you want to say no to that person, set boundaries, and then limit contact if necessary. So that's certainly something that I've practiced. Doesn't necessarily mean no contact, but it means limited contact or content that you feel comfortable with. And then your partial control of things is you may not be able to completely disentangle yourself from a person that's not good for you, especially if you work with them and you can't either afford to lose the client or afford to leave the job right away, but you can take action. So there's 3 categories of control to think about. Things that you can't control, so don't put your energy into them. The past, the future, others. Partial control, results that you get, your health and your income, so you want to put some energy there. And then full control is your attention, attitude, and the actions that you take. So hopefully this little spot of tea was helpful and something to think about. You might want to read some of Dr. Ramani's work around narcissism. She's become the thought leader in that area. And if you find yourself in a relationship that's not worthy of you, then obviously you can have therapy, you can do coaching. We do coaching on narcissistic relationships and the disentanglement with them, but also in the workplace too, because we don't talk much about that. But you might have a narcissistic boss, you might be a narcissistic boss, you might see these cycles repeating in your family, and there are ways to break those patterns and loops. So give us a email or fill out a form on our website, planctraining.com, if you're interested in more information. But otherwise, take care of you and focus on what you can control and let go of the things that are beyond your control, and try to live sort of in the middle ground and do what you can today to end the trauma, feel more empowered, and finally take that action that will help you build a bridge to better.